You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
This is the Happy Hour Network.
Pay attention, son. This is for your own good.
Hey everyone, this is Randy Cruz of the Cruise Control Podcast, and you're now tuning in to the Earnestly Speaking Podcast.
The Earnestly Speaking Podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking Podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
All right, welcome to this on the Earnest Speaking Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian. We're actually live on YouTube today, guys. On YouTube.
Nice.
The tube. The love of and the technology today, you know. And I'm getting feedback on my monitor right now. I don't know why.
Congratulations.
Anyway, who gives a crap? Anyway, I'm here with my buddies, James and Mike the Squid. JT and Mike the Squid. What's up, guys?
What's up? Hey, we doing?
Nothing good, man. I haven't spoken to you guys in a long time. Last time I think you and I spoke, James, was what? Rousey fight? The one she actually won? The one she actually won? you want to start there first on Rousey? I mean, that was the biggest story of the weekend, to be honest with you.
Whatever you want to do.
I mean, how shocked were we? I mean, Squid, how shocked were you with the result? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch the fight live. You know, I was actually had plans and stuff, but I got the ticker like everybody else does. You listen to the event, you get the ticker, and of course you hear breaking news. Holly Holm wins. Like, what are you talking about? Holly Holm wins what? You know, and I was shocked, of course. But then I'm also not as and I've said it in this podcast many times before, I'm not as clued in on MMA. I'm still working on that, as say James is, and probably you are as well. Squid, quickly for you, before we go to James, how shocked were you at the result last Saturday?
I'd say 7 out of 10.
Whoa.
You know, you always knew that she could have that problem with someone that could stand up and actually throw and keep her at a distance. You know, she was always susceptible to that counter punch. Definitely a boxer. Like Holly Holm could definitely give her problems. You know, with her judo background, it made it where if you left her chin out there for too long, it would get knocked out. And, you know, she got caught by that kick and lights out.
What I find fascinating, James, and I think you and I spoke about this aftermath also, is that in the aftermath, in hindsight, I heard people were saying, well, I always thought that she might lose this fight or she'd have problems. But maybe I was blind and naive about it, but I didn't hear any of that stuff before the fight. After the fight, everybody's like, oh, well, I thought she might lose this fight, but I never heard any of that stuff beforehand.
Definitely. Before this fight, you never heard anybody say, oh, I can't wait till Ronda fights Boxer or if somebody fights this, she's going to get knocked out. Nobody thought she was going to lose this fight. She was like a minus 2,000 early on in the betting line. I think it ended up, Holly was plus 900. I think it went down to like plus 600 or something. So, yeah, no, it was a massive upset. And now you got all the haters coming out talking trash about her. But I told you a couple days ago that when this rematch happens, and it will 100% happen, I'll pick Ronda in the rematch. And today it came out that the early betting lines, Ronda is the favorite, minus 175. So people just need to calm down. Hey, she had a bad night. Holly looked amazing. Take nothing away from her. But with that being said, let's just do it again. You know, this is fighting. Anything can happen. Matt Serra knocked out George St. Pierre years ago. And I don't think anybody thinks Matt Serra is better than George St. Pierre. So in the rematch, when Matt Serra got annihilated, we forgot about him. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to Holly, but I feel like Ronda is the overall better fighter. She'll come more prepared, more focused, and I think she'll win the rematch.
Well, and by the way, the rematch thing also, both parties are already said. I mean, I know I heard Holly Holm did a couple of media stuff this week after the fight. I mean, she was on Bomani Jones's show, I think 2 days ago. She even said she's open to a rematch. We heard reports about Rousey open to the idea of a rematch. Not from her mouth, but I guess her people have said that. And I find it, I guess I'm a little bit shocked that even we're so close to the aftermath of the fight that Vegas is still leaning towards Rousey. I mean, I'm a little shocked because, like, I watched the fight in aftermath, and from what I saw, this fight wasn't even close. Like Holm dominated the fight from the word go.
Yeah,
how was Rousey the favorite then?
It definitely was not close, but you got to realize one fight doesn't make everything. So even though Holly looked great and she dominated, there's a lot more to it. So we just got to see what happens in the future. If you look at Holly's last 2 fights when she fought, I don't want to say nobodies, but she fought lesser fighters. One of the girls, even though I know who they are, the general public has no clue who they are. One of them had 5 losses. She went to a split decision with one of them, and then I think a unanimous on the other one. So, and Ronda would smash them. So this is Holly's 3rd fight, and now she's the UFC champion. Everyone looks at her like the new Ronda, like, oh, who's going to be able to beat her? Everybody just needs to take a step back. People are just caught up in the moment. Just people forget how special Ronda is. The things she's have done in her career, nobody's even come close to it. And I tell you all the time, I'm mind blown by what she's accomplished. It's absolutely incredible. She will come back.
Squid, is this good for UFC overall, though? Is this her losing? Because I think it is.
Yes.
Totally big picture. Now you have your UFC 200 main event for probably 6 or 7 months from now. You let her time to get healed. You know, and you have to take a look at the training camp that Holly went through with Greg Jackson and all those guys in New Mexico. You know, they game planned for this. If you saw, as you watched the fight, how many judo throws did Ronda really try? Ronda made the mistake of trying to stand up with a boxer. And I think that's something that they will work on in their camp, and they will know that that's going to be Holly's game plan for the rematch. And, Ronda's got to get her to the ground, throw some punches, get to the arm bar, and, I'm with James. Everyone just take a step back. Yes, don't discredit Holly Holm at all. She came out, fought her game plan. From the very beginning, that's what she and Greg Jackson both said they were going to do. They were going to try to keep Ronda standing, try to counter punch, and try to catch the big one. But in reality, you can fight 5 rounds and lose the first 4 of them and throw that overhand left and knock anyone out at any time. Like James said, this is fighting. This isn't a game where you get down 14 points with 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter. You're not expected to win. You can hit that home run from anywhere. In fighting, it's the way it is.
And James, you agree also that you think overall, even though Rousey, and I'm sure you thought Rousey would win the fight, you think that for the sport of MMA and UFC, of course, the brand, that the result is actually good for the company, right?
Absolutely, because let's look what would have happened if the other thing happened. Let's say Ronda goes out and destroys her in like 90 seconds. Now the question is, who is left for her to fight? She's dominant. Is she going to retire? Does she have anything left to prove? But the only other fight out there would be Cyborg. Now that she's lost, it creates more hype. Like Mike said, UFC 200 could be the main event. It's going to be super hyped up, one of the biggest fights ever. So in a way, I'm glad she lost. But the other thing is also, to Mike's point, that it's a 5-round fight. She got knocked out on a head kick after standing up from the ground. So she was on the ground. She stood up and turned right into it. It's not like she was standing there squaring off and didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And saw it coming the whole way. So my only point is, yes, she won the fight. Holly looked great. She was destroying her with these great punches. Ronda wasn't – I don't know. Nobody knows what she was thinking just walking into these punches. Right. But with that being said, Ronda is a warrior. So even though she got dominated in the first round and was losing the beginning of the second round, she had a split lip, a bloody nose. Hey, she's a tough girl. Who's to say she wasn't going to come back and still win that fight if she doesn't get head kicked?
That's a good point. I just find it fascinating now. And this is so America. Like, Rousey is like the greatest thing in the world, and everybody loves her. And I made a comment on that on social media on Sunday after the fight. I'm like, it's funny how we were all praising her, and then she loses one fight. And I get the oversaturation of, I'm a little tired of her because she's on commercials and ESPN and all this. She's all over the place. But then she loses one fight, and everybody's piling on. Every celebrity, Lady Gaga piled on. Muhammad Ali's daughter piled on. I'm like, really, dude? Where were these comments before? Seriously, America.
Ali's daughter and her had a verbal exchange a few months ago on Twitter about the first time that she got into the ring with a real boxer, she would lose.
Right.
So I mean, they've kind of sparred back and forth, but it almost seems like they're just trying to here you go, Ronda, here's your step down. But the thing is there was none of these people around until Saturday. There was no one out there. To use Floyd Mayweather as an example, there are people that love Floyd and hate Floyd. There's no line in the sand there. But the people that hate Floyd are very adamant about their hate for Floyd.
Yeah.
Where Ronda, it's, now that she lost, now I can say something. Because there was never any of this going into it. When she fought Tate, when she fought Carmouche, when she fought Tate again, there was none of this negativity. Because there was no chance in hell that she was going to lose.
Right.
Is Holly Holm now the new name? Obviously she wins this fight. Your name. Could this be the start of a great? James, I think you and I discussed it back in August when we had this podcast that one of the concerns we had going into with that division is that, well, first off, number one, with Rousey, let's say she won this fight. How long do we have her here for? Because she's getting opportunities outside the UFC, and we always thought, okay, you and I discussed a couple times off the record, like what's the magic number for her before she decides to leave? Is it 15 fights? Is it 20 fights? Whatever. Now with this loss, I wonder if that's not the window now. I wonder if now that revigorates her a little bit now to actually stick around longer than she probably would have had she won this fight.
Absolutely, I feel like she's always said her main goal was to retire undefeated. Now that is gone,
exactly.
She doesn't have that pressure. Doesn't have that stress. She was 12-0. Let's say she wins 3 or 4 more fights and the 16-0. There's nobody left to fight. She more likely retires. But now that she's lost, maybe she wants to see if she can win 10 fights in a row and become the champion again. But to your point about Holly Holm, is she the new thing? It's hard to say she's the new next best thing, but she is the champion. I take nothing away from anyone that wins the belt. You win the belt, you won the belt, you're the champion. All the respect to you. But with that being said, I still feel like Ronda is better.
Now, if she, okay. When is the soonest that she can come back? Rousey. I know she's suspended for 186 months. Some of that.
Yeah.
Medical suspension.
Yeah. She said she can take some time off. So the other thing is there was this report that she had a broken jaw in 3 places. That's not true. She had a split lip. They stitched her up. Let her take a month or 2 off to heal up. Focus on she's filming Roadhouse. She's a movie star now, and then let her come back. That's the other thing. I don't want to make any excuses, but I'm just putting myself in her shoes. She's filming movies. She's this huge star. She's an icon. She's the biggest name in the history of mixed martial arts, really. She just started this relationship with Travis Brown that she got a lot of heat for because he got accused of domestic violence, yet she was the one talking crap about Floyd being a domestic violence person. So she had a lot of stress in her life. Her main trainer filed bankruptcy. Who knows what's going on in her life versus Holly, who was just 100% focused on beating Ronda. So it happened. She got the job done. Let Ronda come back 6 months from now when only thing on her plate is fighting, and let's do it again, man. I can't wait to see it. The whole world can't wait to see it. It's great.
Prediction on when the fight will happen, guys? Any idea when? I mean, late 2016. We're looking at.
I like what Mike said. I mean, UFC 200 could be a great number, but it's definitely. I would say it's probably not going to be for a minimum of 4 to 6 months.
You're probably looking early June-ish, maybe 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
Basically a summer blockbuster.
Yes.
Looks like a good number. But I want to ask you guys before we move on, is Ronda or Holly Holm your face of women's mixed martial arts? Because she's not. Neither one of them are mine, and I'll explain afterwards. But I want to hear your guys' response first.
I mean, I'm still green when it comes to UFC. As I said, I've been on this podcast many times over. I mean, Rousey to me I guess is still the face because of the name. I mean, we're talking about Rousey losing and Holly Holm winning. What does that tell you?
Right. What I'll say is, even though there's a lot of good female fighters out there, and the Cyborg's not even in the UFC yet, and she's a beast, I will say what Ronda has done. She's the biggest MMA star ever, in my opinion, right now. Nobody's ever done what she's done, so I still think she's the face. But I want to hear what you got to say.
My actual face is the co-main event winner, Joanna Jurdovic.
Yeah.
That girl can fight, and strawweight. She's one of those. This isn't women's MMA. This is MMA. She'll get up there. She will throw bombs. She will go ground and pound.
Yes.
So look from both of their faces, the black eyes, the cuts. You would think that was John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. not two women in the 135-pound weight division throwing bombs.
Yes.
I will say this. Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
Real quick to finish on the Joanna thing. I don't know if I always watch the weigh-ins. I always watch the post-fights. But during the weigh-in, if you watch Joanna walk on stage, the entire time she walked on stage, taking her clothes off, the entire time walking on the scale, she was looking over at her opponent, just focused, ready to kill. And then right when they did the stare down, she got right in her face. I mean, she is an animal, to Mike's point.
I will say this though, and this is kind of an underrated narrative also too. I think 2016 is gonna be a huge year for UFC. You got Bones Jones coming back probably next year, making his try to come back, and you know he's really ready to get back in the octagon. And of course the Rousey home thing hang over our heads. We gotta be there's a possibility that this thing could be huge next year for this company.
Yes.
CM Punk.
Yes, that too. Yes.
Is that still happening? The CM Punk thing?
That's 100% happening.
I've heard like summer. He's coming off of a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's training with a great team in Wisconsin with Anthony Pettis and those guys. He 100% is going to fight in the UFC, so I can't wait to see it. Not to mention we have UFC 194 coming up December 12th, which is an unbelievably stacked card.
Okay. Oh, when you were saying that, James, I didn't see you talking. I didn't see your face. I saw a blue screen.
Really?
Yeah. It's all good, though, man. Yeah, but like I said, I think next year's going to be a huge year for UFC. I think Dana White, he couldn't be any happier. I mean, he's not going to say, oh, I'm happy Rousey lost, but believe me, I think it does his company wonders now. And it actually might extend the Rousey thing longer than we thought. That's why I think it's a good thing that she lost this fight, actually, at least as a fan, so. But we'll talk about that later on in the future, of course, on later podcasts. Let's go to the NFL. My boys almost got him last week, man. The Giants almost got him. What is up with the Giants and the Patriots? I don't get it. It's like every game goes down to the final play, the final drive, and it's like the one team that the Pats can shake off ever is my New York Giants. And I guess the question now going forward really is, now we're at week 11 and they're 9-0. And I don't know if you and I don't know if Mike and I did this before. Went through the schedule about whether it be unbeaten, whatnot. But I've done this podcast every month now, where the Pats lose, you see an unbeaten trail coming up. And now we're at week 11 now, 9-0, and the list of teams that I would say or landmines I would say that the Pats could face going forward is diminishing quickly. Like the Giants, I mean, I guess you can argue the Giants would have played the biggest one, although weeks ago I would never have told you that, but so it is. With Denver's issues, I know they played Denver in 2 weeks, but Denver's issues, with Peyton Manning and not being able to play and all this stuff. And then, I mean, I think really there's a legitimate chance they can go unbeaten, even with the injuries they have right now. What do you guys think about that?
You want to go, Mike, or
I'll go. I think Buffalo's going to give them a hard time this week. I think Rex is going to rise up. I'm not saying Buffalo's going to win. I'm going to say Buffalo's going to be up for this game, though. New England's going to have to play clean. Not commit a lot of turnovers, possession, score. And the only other game I see on the schedule that could harm them at MetLife, December 27th against the Jets, right after Christmas. Jets played them tough their first matchup. But that's the only other team on their schedule. I see they have at Denver, Philadelphia, Houston, Tennessee, and Miami. There's no other real juggernaut in that schedule, especially with Denver with the Brock Osweiler era looking to be coming into effect. So if they can get by Buffalo, the only other tough game I see them having on the docket is 2 days after Christmas on the road in New York against the Jets.
James?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. The Buffalo thing, mostly just because of Rex, and there's a history there with the Jets, and he wants to win that game bad. I feel like they could go undefeated because their schedule is really soft. But I mean, let's be serious. This is the NFL. No win is free. Freak plays happen. Sacks, fumble, pick six, punt return for touchdown. So I'm going to say they're going to lose a game just because it's so incredibly difficult to go undefeated in the NFL, as they proved when they lost to your Giants with one of possibly the best team ever, and they still couldn't get it done. So I'm going to say that they won't go undefeated, but they do have a good chance because their schedule's soft. Buffalo's a tough game, the Jets a tough game, and I even think at Miami could be tough just because it's at Miami. It'll be Miami Super Bowl because their season will be over. But I don't think they'll do it.
Let's go through the schedule. As you said, we got Buffalo Monday Night Football. I say that's a win because I don't trust Rex and the Bills. Excuse me.
I don't trust Tyreek.
I mean, I just think that it's in Foxborough, so right away that's an issue. At Denver is strange because, if Brock Osweiler actually is able to get the ball down the field that Peyton Manning can do. Because here's the thing with the Broncos. For all the issues they had with Peyton Manning, the issue is just Peyton Manning. Because you insert able quarterback to play right now, they're a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
Because they have all the talent in the world on both sides of the ball to be a great team. They are a great team. It's just that Peyton Manning's ability, he can't do what he used to do. I mean, it's just that simple. So if Brock Osweiler get the ball down the field and this Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are connecting, that's still a game that could be, a 50-50 toss up there. And it's in Denver on top of that.
They got to get Vernon Davis involved in that offense. He's a guy that's going to be matchup problems for the linebacking core of New England.
Right.
So they can get him adjusted into that offense. I think he's going to be a big time player that could definitely throw a wrench into the New England perfect season.
That's why I think this game. That's why I think the game of the week this weekend is actually the bull. I know you're going to say your game, of course, Mikey, the Bengals and Cardinals, and yeah, it should be because of the records and how good the teams are. But I think for me, the game of the week is going to be really the Bears and the Broncos. I really want to see how Brock does this week against a frisky Bears team. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Real quick about the Denver game coming up with the Patriots. That could be a loss just because, number one, you're at Denver, which is a hard place to play. They have an incredible defense. Hopefully DeMarcus Ware's back. You got DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller coming off the sides. I mean, in 2 seconds, he's got to get that ball out, otherwise strip sack. And you got Edelman and Deion Lewis no longer there. So you got Chris Harris, Aqib Talib covering him. You got those linebackers on Gronk. It could be a problem.
Okay, then you got Philly at home. That's a win.
Definitely a win.
Philly's so sloppy. Mikey, you like that, right? Philly is a win.
Sanchez will probably have to play that game. Bradford separated shoulder. I don't trust Sanchez as far as I can throw him. I don't trust anyone in that running back, especially with Ryan Matthews having a concussion. DeMarco Murray hasn't been the same since he left Dallas. Okay. Now he's really missing that offensive line, so I definitely don't see Philly beating him.
The frisky Texans that has beat you guys last Monday night. Sorry, Mike, I had to say it. The frisky Texans and the annoying J.J. Watt.
No.
Is that Houston?
No, because you're probably looking Brian Hoyer coming off of a concussion, so you might get him, you might get TJ Ace depending on where Hoyer is in concussion protocol because he's already said that he's lost memory from that game. While their defense did play great again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he's lost memory from that game.
Wow.
They released that earlier today on Roto World. I read that. In the play that he got the concussion on, it almost looks like it was the second impact when he hit the ground and kind of got landed on is when his head rattled around. But, all credit to their defense against us on Monday night. They did a great job in the second half. But the thing with that offense is they have to do the same thing that they did against us, which is not commit turnovers.
Just admit it. How pissed were you? Because you texted after the game, and I used a couple of words. You sounded more pissed than you actually were typing. I had a vibe that you were pissed off. I had a really strong vibe that you were really pissed off.
No, I wouldn't say I was pissed off. I would say I was aggravated because, the thing that we've been able to do all year has been get to the quarterback, get turnovers, cash in on a short field, and not settle for field goals. And it was something that we didn't do all night. We had 2 drives. Both drives stalled out about the 25-yard line, couldn't get it in the end zone. The entire second half, I think we ran 7 plays in Houston territory. You can't win a game if you run 7 plays on the opposing side of the field. And Tyler Eifert drops 4 balls. He had his worst game of the year on primetime. Yep. And now, of course, everyone wants to go, it's the stigma. Andy Dalton can't win. Andy Dalton can win if the guys that he's throwing to can catch the goddamn football. Yep. AJ Green fumbles on 4th down. I mean, the guy is the most sure-hand receiver that the Bengals have had since probably TJ Houshmandzadeh.
That's true.
Yes, Ocho gets the credit for it in that pair, but TJ always had the better hands.
There's a name we've heard in a while, James, huh? TJ Houshmandzadeh.
Hey, he was a great player during that little couple-year run, man. He was phenomenal.
Yes, he was. Probably the best receiving corner in the league that time.
Yeah.
So AJ fumbling definitely hurt, but Houston has to do the same thing. Shane Lechler's got to pin New England deep, make them drive the length of the field, make them drive 75, 85 yards every drive, and if you get that turnover, cash in.
Tennessee.
Wait, Ernest, wait 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the Pats playing Houston, Houston's playing good, and let's consider something. You're talking about a potential playoff team. They have a realistic chance to win that division.
Yeah, right now they're tied in Indy right now, and Indy is about Andrew Luck.
Yes, and they're not playing well. Luck's out for four more games. If they lose those, Houston wins a couple, they can win that division. But as far as them being the Pats, the only reason I don't think they'll be able to is just because I don't think they'll be able to score to keep up with Brady. Brady's going to score. They are going to score points. There's no way Houston – I just don't see them scoring.
just keep the answer simple. They're not going to win because of Tom Brady. It's just Tom Brady.
There you
because Tom Brady. The end.
There you go.
Tennessee's a win. Come on. At home, Tennessee, really? I know you guys agree with that.
Yes. Yeah.
So the two bad games, the 2 games, week 16 and week 17, Jets and Dolphins. And let's say that they beat the Jets in week 16. Week 17 is the Dolphins. Does Belichick call off the dogs? I don't think he will.
No.
Why would you?
No.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy. Belichick is
he wants to kill. Yeah.
Yes.
And
I think Brady wants to also.
And I was just gonna say it. Brady wants to kill after this whole Deflategate. He wants to show everybody, hey, it doesn't matter how much air is in the damn football. I'm the best ever. I'm gonna show you.
Mm-hmm.
So annoying. That team is so annoying, dude. I swear. God.
They are, but they're good. They deserve every right to be annoying.
Absolutely.
And James and I agree. They're probably the greatest dynasty in NFL history, in my opinion, because to do what they've done with the same coach, same quarterback for 15 years, and it's not just the 4 championships. It's also they've never fallen off. They've been in the mix every year. They're always in the conversation for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't remember any team that's done that. Not even the Steelers or even the Cowboys in the 90s did that.
Nope.
You know, when they fell, they fell.
Yep.
You know,
and even the year they actually lost Tom, Matt Castle kept them
11-5
until the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Yeah, 11-5 with Matt Castle.
The other thing about Brady in this dynasty is look at all the different offensive weapons he's had for 15 years. Look at all the different defensive players they had, and they continue to find a way to win 10, 11, 12 games every single year. The guy just gets it done. He lost Edelman. He's going to find a way to make Amendola play better. He's going to find a way to get LaFell involved more. They refuse to lose.
Well, and the other thing you have to look at is, yes, he had all the offensive weapons, but since they got to New England, nobody knew about him. And when they left New England, they all fell off the earth if their name wasn't Randy Moss.
Yes.
Deion Branch, hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then he came back. And then he came
Seattle, and then I'm going to come back and be relevant again.
He was good. Actually, it was pretty good for a couple of years, and when he came back. We just touched on this a little while ago during the Patriots schedule breakdown. But let me ask you guys a question. Do you think we've seen last Peyton Manning? Do you think Peyton Manning's done? Like, have you seen him, like, the last of him?
I think he'll play again this year, possibly, but I think he's done. I think he's going to have to retire.
Okay.
I'm 100% with you. I think this is the swan song for probably one of the greatest of all time.
Let me ask you a question. How does that conversation work on Gary Kubiak? Let's say the Broncos go 3-1 the next couple of weeks, okay? And Brock is one of the catalysts, the reason why they're playing so well. And their offense is moving, and the receivers are getting involved. If you're Gary Kubiak, how's that go? You telling Peyton Manning, sorry, dude, Brock actually has a better chance to win right now than you. How's that going to go? Do you think that actually happens?
Real quick, I'll just say this is the NFL. It's all about winning. Your name, I mean, that's great. You're Peyton Manning. But if the coach honestly believes Osweiler is playing better and or Peyton's still a little hurt and isn't mobile or maybe he's not feeling great, I'm sorry, man. This is about winning the Super Bowl. I got to go with the hot hand. I know I love Peyton Manning, but if he's not 100% and he's a liability, you just can't do it. You got to win games. This is a chance to win a Super Bowl.
I think Gary Kubiak just has to be real with him. You got to look at him and you go, Peyton, thanks for what you've done. But the reality is, if I don't win a Super Bowl, you're not going to pay me to come work at your house. I'm an NFL coach. I got to win games, and Brock's giving me the best chance to win right now.
Yes.
I want to be there when that conversation happens, though, because look, logically, we know the correct answer right now. Well, we don't know yet. We'll see how Brock does this couple of weeks. But you're telling Peyton Manning, like, really, let that marinate a second. You're telling Peyton Manning, hey, guess what? We don't need you right now. Like, you really suck. I mean, to put it bluntly, he's the 31st ranked quarterback in the league.
I'll say this. I think Peyton is so much of a professional and so intelligent and understands football so much that if he honestly doesn't think he's 100% or if he's the best choice for the team to start, I think he'll be okay with it because he's a team player. And let's be serious. He doesn't want to hurt his teammates' chances of winning Super Bowl. So if he doesn't think – put it this way. If he thinks he's better than Brock and he thinks he's healthy enough and he feels good enough, he will talk Kubiak into it. But I do not think he's going to allow himself to be a liability and hurt his team.
Right. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think he has to take a step back, like James said. I think the defensive guys are going to be the one that are going to talk to him too. DeMarcus Ware, Keith Talib, Von Miller, guys like that. I just don't think this is going to be a Gary Kubiak conversation. I think it's going to be all the guys who look at him and say, hey, thanks for what you've done for us. We love you. You're our brother. We'll go to war with you every day. But right now, Brock's the guy.
Right.
And that's only if Brock actually plays well. We still got to see if Brock actually plays well these next couple of weeks. I mean, he may shit the bed too, and then what? We're back to Peyton Manning and back to square one. So,
honestly, if you go back to square one, it's a good square one to have.
Well, of course. I mean,
give him 4 weeks off right now. That means you're going to get a healthy 2 weeks going into the playoffs, and then you're going to get a healthy 2 weeks that he probably would have been even more beaten up without the break.
Right.
Right. I hate to pile on, dude, Mikey, but it's just one loss. But I gotta ask it. I mean, has there been some trust loss with the Bengals now? Not that they lost the game to Houston. It's kind of the way they lost. Like the 11-point favorites. It's on Monday Night Football against a inferior team. Let's face it, Houston's not good. I know they're in first place at Indianapolis, but that's the AFC South, probably the worst division in sports history. Okay, and the way they lost that game to Houston, I don't want to be one of those guys that's knee jerk saying, "Oh, I'm concerned," but I told you in the text also too. The loss they had on Monday night is the reason why I have trust issues with the Bengals. Like they're a really good team. In fact, I've said for the last 2-3 years they might have the best roster in all of football. But it's just when they get to those big moments, these big games, they seem to come small to mini-me. What's going on?
I always thought, looking at the schedule, that the back half of their season was always going to be tough. Arizona, St. Louis, Pittsburgh again, Denver, final week of the season against Baltimore, mixing a game against Johnny Manziel again. They got on the road in San Francisco. I always knew the back half of that schedule was going to be tough. Now, did I expect them to lose to Houston? No. I thought the game that put us on alert was going to be this week on the road against Carson Palmer.
Right.
Bengal playing against us. But I wouldn't say I've lost faith. What I'll say is they need to go back to playing Cincinnati Bengal football. Jeremy Hill needs to get involved in the offense. Giovanni Bernard needs to get involved in the offense. And I think Jeremy said it earlier this week. You got to ride the hot hand. The hot hand's been Andy Dalton. Well, the reality is when the hot hand is Andy Dalton, I know the hot hand is Andy Dalton, and 31 other teams know that Andy Dalton's the hot hand, maybe it's time that you counterpunch. Maybe it's time that you start running the ball 20 to 25 times a game and only letting Andy throw the ball 25 to 30 times a game. Make his passes more compact, in the zone, move the football. The defense has been playing their butts off, so I'm not worried about that. The key is going to be game management from Marvin Lewis and Hugh Jackson the second half of the year.
Right, and given the fact also that Denver lost again too, here's another thing that no one's talking about. They win on against Houston. They pretty much have a stranglehold for at least a bye week. Now that's now still up in the air because,
like I've told you every week, with this Cincinnati Bengal team, it's week by week, game by game. Because the reality is you can sit here and say we have a stranglehold in our division, but we still have on the road at Arizona a good St. Louis team, on the road into the West.
Whoa. Hold up. A good St. Louis team? Get out of here. They're frauds. Get out of here with that. No, they're frauds.
Their defense is better than Houston's, and we scored 6 points on Houston. They got a really good run game. So I mean, the reality is still got to play them, still got to play on the road in San Francisco, still got to play on the road in Arizona, divisional games against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I've told you from the very beginning, 1 week at a time with this Cincinnati Bengal team. Win a game.
He's such a fan guy. He's such a fanboy. 1 day at a time.
But the reality is it's got to be every game at a time because you can't look at the next team because that's exactly what they did. They thought, we're going to steamroll Houston. We're going to go into Arizona sitting at 9-0. No, now you're sitting at 8-1 with another loss. Now you're tied with Denver, and you might not get the bye, and you might not win the division because you overlook someone.
Well, let's just say Pittsburgh's going to make a grand comeback. I don't see that happening. They're 4 games up with the tiebreaker right now currently. So, Thompson, do you trust the Bengals right now in the spot right now?
I still feel like they're going to be okay, and I like what Mike said about switching it up because let's be serious. They got 2 gifted running backs. Man, Gio is electrifying, and I think Jeremy Hill is a beast. He hasn't really had a chance to show it the years because he's not getting the carries. But look, how does New England beat people? When they need to go in there and have Tom throw the ball 50 times to all these little quick outs and stuff, and they beat people by 50, they do it. When the weather gets cold and they need to grind the clock and run the ball with Blunt and just do that, they can do that. I'd like to see Cincinnati have that ability with Dalton being the hot hand and these amazing weapons with Eifert and Green. But then if need be, run this incredible running game with the 1-2 punch of 2 electrifying running backs. So I agree 100% with that. They need to quit being so one-dimensional and try to have people respect the run. Nobody's respecting it. Nobody's like, oh, God, we got to play Cincinnati. Jeremy Hill's going to run 30 times on them. No one knows. Everyone knows that's not happening.
That's true. All right. Your turn, Thompson. I mean, your team has been kind of quietly 7-2. They jumped on my power rankings number 5. Actually, I know you saw that.
Saw that.
Yeah. And by the way, I said before the year started, that's my wild card pick in the NFC.
You did.
I rode that bandwagon all since August. So,
and I said it wasn't going to happen. So I got to hold that for now.
You're so pessimistic. What's wrong with you, man?
Dude, I've been a Vikings fan for 20 years. I've seen everything. The '98 team, which had the hype, was at the time was the highest scoring team of all time. We crushed everyone except Tampa. We lost 24-20. Otherwise, we go 16-0. We go in the playoffs, have this amazing team, and lose to the Falcons because of Dennis Green's horrible coaching. Otherwise, we go to the Super Bowl and more than likely beat the Broncos. So it's just been a lot of heartache as a Vikings fan. So I don't believe in it yet. What happens when the playoffs come and Green Bay or Seattle or Arizona says, you know what? We're stacking the box. We are not letting Adrian Peterson beat us. I want to see if Teddy Bridgewater and those receivers can get it done. I don't think they can.
If there's concern, you're right, because their schedule gets absolutely insane in the next couple weeks.
I told you that at work last week, and you agreed with me. You're like, the schedule is no.
Here is the schedule as follows. They're playing a slumping Green Bay Packers team at home on Sunday. That's probably one of the games of the week. That's a toss-up game, I guess, right? I mean, how do you feel about the game? Given what Green Bay's been doing the last couple of weeks, do you feel good about the game now?
Honestly, if I had to, it's just they've been our nemesis for so long, and it's still Aaron Rodgers, it's still Randall Cobb, it's still these guys. They still got a decent defense. They're not going to lose 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. I'm going to have to go with Green Bay in that one. But Minnesota could easily win, of course. But okay. I'm not a believer yet. I'm going to take the Pack.
At Atlanta, the frauds of the year. I've been saying all year long. I think that's a win.
Yes.
Seattle, which we still don't know how good they are. We still don't know. You're saying no. You still say no.
100% loss.
I don't know if I'd go 100%.
Well, okay. It's the NFL. I feel good about them going into Seattle and winning that game.
Hold on. Are they on the road in Seattle?
Yes.
No, they're at home. They're at home.
At home?
They're at home.
Why am I thinking that's at Seattle?
No, I'm staring at it right now.
Okay, then I changed my mind. Then it's okay. Take that back.
Honestly, even if it was in Seattle, that isn't as scary anymore as everyone's making it out to be. I mean, you had Detroit.
Dude,
that was a lone referee call away from winning. You have Arizona go in and dominate for 3/4 of that game.
Yeah.
You have Chicago's the only team that hasn't won in Seattle this year.
I understand. You are correct.
It's not as intimidating as everyone's making it out to be. So everyone that wants to keep stroking,
you know what Thompson's doing, Mikey? You know what he's doing? He's doing what I do to the Giants. I don't know, but yeah. And it's funny. I did it twice to the Giants in the Super Bowl year, like 4 years ago.
Right.
I don't know. They make the playoffs. I don't know. Could we beat the Packers? I don't know. No. So I did the same thing, and it worked. It probably in a championship. So I mean, it could work for you. Who knows?
Wait.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Who are you and Mike taking? Seattle at Minnesota.
Right. If you're going based on what we've seen right now in cultures, you have to take Minnesota.
Okay.
Seattle gave up 39 points in the game against Arizona at home. Come on.
We're
like who you are. 39 points a lot of points for that team.
But I also think Arizona is a lot better than Minnesota. I really do.
Right, but I'm looking at more so the Seattle part. You're playing a division rival off a bye, and you're at home, and you still can't get the job done. Forget the fact they lost the game. It's how they lost is the question.
I'm going to take Minnesota too in that game. I like them at home. I don't like Seattle playing outside of their general area up in the north. And I think Adrian Peterson's still going to be able to run the ball
right
against that front.
Right. Then you have Arizona. We have Arizona after that. At Arizona, I'll say it's a loss because Arizona is a team on a mission.
Agreed.
The frisky Chicago Bears, very frisky team. That is definitely not a gimme game there.
Not at all.
Yeah, because we're probably gonna have Forte back for that game. I don't know how many more weeks he's going to be sidelined. So that's going to help them out because they can switch it up with Langford and Forte. They're going to be a pesky team late in the year.
I'll say it's a win though, just because they are a better team than Chicago. I mean, that is the bottom line, but that's not a gimme game either.
Not at all.
Then the Giants at home, same situation. The Giants are playing for first place in the NFC East. That's a gimme. That's not a gimme game either.
Not at all.
That's definitely
what week do they play the Giants?
Week 16.
That is a NFC playoff preview.
At Minnesota?
At Minnesota, yes.
And you know better than anyone, Giants historically just play us well, man. I don't want to go over the history of the beatdowns that you guys put on us, but
2000 MC Title game?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
I can give you all the history of that game again. Want me to?
Nah, that's okay. I watched that entire game from start to finish live, and I just was sick. It was embarrassing.
I Killiard. Kerry Collins.
Oh, boo.
Greg Camilla.
Unreal.
You said Kerry Collins on this podcast, sir. Well, you are fine.
I look, that year, that Giants team, that offense, that's all Sean Payton, just for the record. He was our OC that year, just for the record. So that was all Sean Payton. That's how I knew Sean Payton was amazing.
You guys played Baltimore that year in the Super Bowl, right?
Don't remind me, thank you. I cried that game.
That was like the worst quarterback matchup in like Super Bowl history.
Yeah, Gelford against Collins, yeah. Oh, yeah. I cried after that game, so let's not remind me of that game, please. And then week 17 at Green Bay, which might be a game that matters, because if that comes out to the division title,
definitely.
Ooh,
yeah, definitely picking Green Bay though. Let's be serious.
Right. The scheduling gods got it right here, possibly. They definitely got it right here, possibly. So, yeah, Minnesota has a tough road ahead of them, but right now I would say Mike Zimmer is my coach of the year currently. I think he's done a great job. Nova Turner is definitely doing his thing here. AP. Oh, by the way, we talk about MVP. Talk about AP. No one's talking about that. He's in the mix. What are you doing, James? No, come on.
It's just so hard to even mention his name when you got guys like Brady and Cam Newton out there. It's just like,
but if I told you right now, give me a top 5 right now of candidates, he's in the top 5.
Okay, I'll give you that. But we both know he's not going to win.
Of course not, because Brady.
Right.
That's it. Brady, exclamation point. Or Cam. Speaking of Cam, this whole controversy about the why is this even a story is actually the funnier part. This whole thing about Cam dancing, the dab, the dab, that thing. Like, why is it even a story to begin with is beyond me. I was on Fox Sports New Mexico yesterday. They'll talk about this, and to me, I'm going to say it. And look, you guys know me very well. I don't play race card stuff. I mean, my wife is white, so. Yep. But I'm sorry, this whole thing like reeks of like racial undertones. Tell me I'm wrong.
I got nothing.
No, seriously. I mean, look. Aaron Rodgers just on double check celebration. No one bats an eye. Tom Brady F-bombing on touchdowns, and kids can hear that. Right. There's 9 in a row that said that they see Cam Newton up front. Well, if Tom Brady's F-bombing on the sidelines and you can hear that, that's not a problem. But leave it to Cam Newton to do a little jig, which was clean. It wasn't no gyration on that stuff there. Leave it to Cam Newton to do some little something different, and it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to explain why everyone is so upset. I don't really get it. Anybody else scores, does their thing, is fine. This guy is a possible MVP. He's on a 9-0 team. He's an exciting young player who's dominating, and he did a little dance. Hey, I think it's much ado about nothing. It's just absolutely insane that we're still talking about it. It's Thursday.
And my frustration too, Mike, and I'll get to you in a second, my frustration about the whole story isn't necessarily the story. Whatever. People have their opinion. You don't have to like the dance. And then James, I think I told you this for years now. My problem with the Cam Newton thing is the way he's been covered his entire career in the NFL. Especially locally in Charlotte. Especially locally. He's been covered very, very, I would say a bit unfairly, a bit heavy-handed with the media. And now that he's actually winning games now, the fact that the Charlotte Observer actually run the story on their paper, to me, it's ridiculous. I'll give you a story, Charlotte Observer. They're 9-0.
Right.
Like the Patriots are. That's a story for you. You could print without the best receiver, by the way, who hasn't played a snap all year long, Kelvin Benjamin. That's a story there that I can give you.
It's crazy.
Back to the story. I think the real thing you have to look back at is he got sacked earlier in the game, and a defensive player did the exact same thing that he did.
Right.
Well, he did the Drake Hotline Bling dance.
He can do the Hotline Bling. He can do the Icky Shuffle. He can do the Victor Cruz salsa. I don't care.
Can you do the Icky Shuffle, Mike?
Probably, but I'd probably blow a hamstring out.
Really? Is that easy, dude? It's one of those...
I played 2 softball games last night. What do you want from me?
Dude, yeah, I saw the snaps last night from you.
I'm in shape. I'm round.
I saw the. Well, so's Icky. So what? Get some cold cuts. Come on, how hard is that?
With the dancing, Victor does his salsa. Cam and the rest of the Panthers, they do their thing. I think me and you have the same mindset in this. If defensive players can get up and dance when they sack someone, when they drive the ball down your throat, you have no room to say anything. If you want to shut them up, keep them out in the end zone. And if you can't do it, then you got to live with it.
I agree with 100% there. 100% there.
Real quick, and I will say this about Cam in the dancing. There's nothing that can beat his Superman move. It's so short and sweet. It's so smooth. And it's appropriate because the guy is almost Superman. Let's be serious. He single-handedly won Auburn a national title. That's how good this guy is.
And he's kind of doing the same thing here with the Carolina Panthers this year currently. That's why I was making my case. Look, I don't think he'll win MVP because the numbers are going to play out for Brady's favor. And I get that. Brady's the man. But my argument has been Cam Newton's carrying more responsibility for his team right now than anybody in the league now is, and the results that he's bringing in, even after all that, it's phenomenal. At least Brady has a Gronk. At least he has Belichick. I mean, Ron Rivera.
Well, I agree. Cam is definitely carrying that offense. I mean, I think the other thing you have to look at is, I would definitely say that their defense is better than New England's. Luke Kuechly, Josh.
I guess.
Those guys have done their job. There have been games where Cam has not been great.
Right.
At his off games, they still win because of guys like Josh Norman, also Carolina grad, go Shants, and Luke Kuechly, who is the heart and soul of that defense,
and Mike and Thomas Davis, who's playing incredible.
Absolutely,
yes, he is.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, and let's stay in the NFC real quick. Back to things that matter, actually, instead of dancing in the end zone. So who is the real favorite in the NFC? Because to be honest with you, if you had asked me right now, I think the NFC is wide open. Given Green Bay slumping, given the Giants are getting healthier now, given that Arizona is 7-2 and trending, Seattle's 4-5, but we don't know if they can turn it around yet or not. Obviously the Panthers 9-0, but we don't know how invincible they are. I feel like the NFC is wide open. Who's the real favorite now in the NFC right now for Week 11?
It's hard to say. I mean, I feel like you almost have to say Arizona just by default.
Yes, I agree.
There's a couple good teams, but nobody's like the Patriots. Nobody this year a guaranteed lock. They are the best team. It's just not there yet.
Go ahead.
I think the NFC has a lot of head scratchers. Every team that's in playoff position right now has a question.
Yes.
Can Carolina long term win with no real star wide receiver? Can Arizona keep Carson Palmer healthy? Can Seattle find a way to get that offensive going? Can Minnesota find a way to make Teddy Bridgewater a game manager? Green Bay, can they find a way to stop someone from scoring and let Aaron Rodgers have time to throw the football? The Giants, can they get healthy? Dallas, what's Tony Romo going to do? Washington, even per se, what is Kirk Cousins going to be able to do? I mean, every team that has a shot. Atlanta, what are they going to do defensively?
That's the best one.
Every team that's in playoff position in the NFC, you have to take a step back and go, all of them have a hole. Which one is going to catch up to which team first?
Well,
I'm a James. Arizona right now is the best pick right now because Arizona, to me, they're like the Bengals in the AFC. Best roster in that conference. And you look at the situation with the Bengals. I mean, since last year, they were 11-5 last year with Ryan Lindley playing quarterback in the playoff game. I've said this all along. Bruce Arians is the most underrated coach in all of sports. Okay? And with Carson Palmer, who, by the way, is also a candidate for MVP as well, just for the record. To me, I think they have the most balanced roster in next to Cincinnati in all football. And you're right, James. I think when you talk about like trust factor, you got to leave Arizona by default because of the roster and the trust of the players there in that system.
Right.
No, absolutely. I think the other key for Arizona is going to be the health of Mike Iupati. If he can get himself healthy, get back on that offensive line, and really Chris Johnson. Are we going to get the CJ 2K, or are we going to get CJ question mark K the last 7 weeks of the season? I think those are going to be two big question marks for them going down the rest of the year.
Yep.
Right. I guess anything else I got to talk about? Oh yeah. Why is this even still a story? Johnny Manziel. And now it's a star the rest of the year. Needs to give a crap.
It's a great move.
Yeah, I think it's finally time to figure out what you got with Johnny. Here's the chance. Here's his chance to if he's going to be the future of the Cleveland Browns, we're going to know. And if he's not, they're going to make a move, either be draft or free agency. You know, as much as he's a corrupted mind, Ryan Mallett is out there. If they need him for a year to bring in with Manziel if McCown retires, before you can acquire someone via the draft.
Do you see anything there that make you believe that he could be the future? Do you see anything there? Because I don't know. I don't know.
He's got skills. I mean, he's explosive. I just don't know if he knows how to read defense yet. You know what I mean? He just makes so many critical mistakes, but the guy definitely has physical tools. You don't win the Heisman Trophy and beat Alabama because you're bad. You know what I mean?
That's true. Good point. It's a good point. But this is the NFL, though.
100%. That's why these next 6 games, I think it's a great decision. Let's see if this guy can really play. Or let's move on. Let's cut him and move on, or let's give him the reins and see if he can be a beast. Let's find out right now. Our season's over. McCown's 36. He's not our future. Let's do it.
At least we'll be entertained next couple weeks. At least Browns football will be somewhat exciting to watch, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Kimmy just said that. Browns football is exciting. I know you want to touch on the Greg Hardy thing. Greg Hardy. I don't know. I mean, this story. I mean, look, I'm tired of talking about it. It is what it is at this point now. He is who he is. The case is over. You know, we saw the pictures of the ex-girlfriend, whatever. I mean, now I guess the issue is, are all those reports you hear about him being an issue in the locker room, are those actual factual things, or is that just the media just trying to pick on anything just for clickbait? Because I see, I have a problem with that, because like the fact that he has an argument with a coach on the sideline or a player, that's kind of a normal thing anyway in football. But I feel like Greg Hardy's like, we're taking a step too far because of the story of him off the field, that any little thing that happens, we're making it a story. I feel like that's a bit overplayed now, that whole thing.
Yeah,
not the off-field stuff, but the stuff in the locker room. I mean,
right. There's definitely something to that. I'd like to know more on how his teammates feel about him, because I think when they played the Eagles, I want to say it was the offensive lineman, maybe one or two of them said that when they had to block Hardy, they put more into it. They blocked him even harder just because they think he's a disgusting person. So I'm just wondering if Jason Witten, other people on that team, can't stand this guy at all, and maybe Jerry needs to cut him to make a statement. Hey, we're more than likely not making the playoffs. I'm trying to bring this locker room back.
He's on a 1-year deal anyway. He's on a 1-year deal, so I mean.
Yeah, I understand, but is he worth it? Is it worth having this guy on your roster? You know, there's so much hate for the Cowboys right now because of this. I don't know. I think he's more problems than it's worth. I mean, he's a great player, but you're not making the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one.
No, I mean the fact is he left a Carolina team that's sitting at 9-0. You know, they cut him and we're saying we're moving on.
Yes,
you know, we're wiping our hands of this. You know, I think if Jerry's got to make a move, and I know it's weird for us to kind of get on Jerry, but Jerry's got to make a statement. Jerry's got to let him go.
I agree.
Jerry's got to let him go. And I think the other thing, you know, the whole suspension thing. You know, another team that took a chance, Oakland with Aldon Smith. Yep. Now suspended for a year. He's suspended for a year for multiple DUI offenses.
That starts when? Now or next year?
Now.
So he'll be eligible for week 11 next year.
Yeah, week 10, week 11 of next year.
Okay.
But the thing is Oakland is in a little bit better of a position. They can stand behind Aldon Smith, help him get the help that he needs. Something that the San Francisco organization just didn't do. You know, I don't know if it was Harbaugh, the general manager.
I disagree with that a little bit. From what people I talked to cover the team, they did a lot of rehabbing stuff off the field with him, and he just was responding to a lot of stuff that was going on. I have a lot of the sources in the California area, in San Francisco, who cover the team. They told me that they did a lot, tried to help him out as much as they could, and he's just who he is.
But you can rehab and you can help someone problems with alcohol. You can't physically rehab someone that does not give a flying rat's behind about another person. You can't fix that.
To my Hardy.
Yes.
You can't.
Well, yeah. Different story.
He's like,
and he has been. He's not even apologetic about what he said. What he did. He's been like so blasé about it. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna move on. Don't judge me. Like, come on, dude. Admit you were found guilty. First off.
Yes.
Okay, you were found guilty. I think that's gonna be forgotten here. You were found guilty in a court of law for what you did.
Everything he's been saying is everyone needs to move on, and acceptance and forgiveness. We'll start forgiving when you stand up at a podium and say, I screwed up.
Yep.
Until then, take your excuses, take all the rest of it, and shove sand.
Yep.
Just say it. Shut up your ass.
Yo, if Greg Hardy, at some point when they announced his signing, or at any point from there, if he would have said, listen, and he said it from the heart and it looked real, if he would have said, listen, I messed up, I have no excuse for my actions, I'm going to get help, I do not condone this at all, I don't know what was going on in my head, whatever, blah, 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 but just be 100% sympathetic, apologetic, and say that you don't condone it and you want to move on, people would be embracing this guy a lot more, and we wouldn't be talking about this. But when you want to be pig-headed and guns a-blazing and Giselle and Tom Brady's wife and his girlfriends and this and that, it looks horrible. You look like a psychotic freak. I'm sorry.
Because that's probably what he is, unfortunately. So, before I let you go, I don't think you care about this necessarily, James, because you're not really a big baseball guy. But your boy, Mikey, David Ortiz, is announcing his retirement next year. I'll be honest with you, I hate the Red Sox, but always been a Poppy guy. And I still, I'll admit, 2004. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, and I root for you guys to win the ALCS against the Yankees, 4, because I'm a Met fan. I have no love for the Yankees. And to me, that was when, that I truly fell in Poppy. I mean, to me, that comeback and his heroics in that series. What's your thoughts on Poppy retiring intentions to retire after next year?
It's sad. He was the first real Red Sox that they went out and got, aside from Manny Ramirez, that really made an impact. They decided to make the move in 2003, picked him up when the Twins cut him, traded Shea Hillenbrand for a box of baseballs and like a bucket of bubble gum, whatever the fuck they got for him. They gave David the opportunity, and he was a guy that really bled New England. He came to work every day ready to play baseball, but he always knew that baseball was fun. He always knew that there was more serious stuff going on, and that's what Red Sox Nation took to with David. The fact that he was always in the community, he was always a guy that when you saw him in the streets, he embraced you like you were family. And that's what's going to be missed.
Right.
It personally, if there's one year the Sox need to win a World Series, it's next year. Let him go out, guns a-blazing, and let him walk off it the way he should. The best designated hitter of all time, most clutch power hitter in baseball and in playoff baseball, probably since the 80s. He for 12 nights in October, he put the Boston Red Sox on his back and said, just keep coming. We'll find a way to win.
In historic fashion. What do you think he'd rank on all-time Boston athletes, like favorites, like list? Like you got Brady and Bird and Russell and all those guys. I mean, I got him top 3 all time just because he's the personalities. I think he's more popular than Brady in my opinion.
You honestly gotta definitely say if he's not the top Red Sox, he's number 2.
I'm talking about Boston athletes.
I'm saying in general.
Right.
He's not the top Red Sox. He's definitely in the top 2 there. The only ones that can really compare with him, Yastrzemski and Teddy Ballgame. Both of those guys were great Boston players, coaches, etc. then you got to look at the other teams. You know, Pete Orr or Bobby Orr, all those guys for the Bees of late, Bird, all those Celtic greats. He's definitely in the top 5. There will be plenty of Boston and New Englanders that say David Ortiz is the number 1 athlete in Boston sports history.
It's up there.
And if he is, he deserves every minute of it, because, you know, and I'll always remember one of my favorite moments of David Ortiz as a Red Sox was right after the Boston Marathon bombing. He looked at those fans and he said, "This is our fucking city."
Right.
Because he bled Boston. And he almost won.
And he could have gone elsewhere. He got a lot of offers to go elsewhere when he hit the trade market, and he didn't do that. So,
Yo, Ernest,
I was a fan. Yeah, go ahead.
Ernest and Mike, was it a good idea for the Twins to get rid of him? That was a good idea, right?
Brilliant idea. I appreciate everything.
Said the Twins fan.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, guys, great podcast day, man. As we got to do this again soon. This is actually a really cool. This is a cool round table. Really cool round table. We'll talk soon, man.
All right, guys.
All right.